It's that time of year again. It's the hunt I look forward to every season. Matthew and I, we are going hunting. We don't let anything get in the way. We're clearing our work calendar, we're clearing everything. And once a year we spend a week out hunting. Last year, he lucked out. He drew a Montana moose tag. The year before that, we lucked out. We drew Nevada deer tags. And this year, he drew a really good Wyoming elk tag.
I've been applying in Wyoming for quite some time now, and so I had actually maxed out on points. And the idea was this year I would put in with my dad's Uncle Larry, and we would draw the tag and we'd get to do this hunt together.
And you've seen Larry in some of our old On Your Own Adventures episodes. He is a comedy act. He's so excitable, so animated. He's everything that you want when you are all about having fun. Holy cow, you got him!
I don't see
He's down. And when we were talking about his application last year, I said, well, Matthew, you have maximum points. You would be a shoo-in in some of these really, really high-end units. Or you and Larry can do a party application because Larry's a few points below the maximum. And we'll go have a good time. Yeah, maybe we'll see some nice bulls, but it's hunting with Larry. And Matthew didn't even blink. He just said, I want to go with Larry.
Unfortunately, shortly before the beginning of the hunt, Larry had some medical complications and was unable to join us.
When the bad news came that Larry wasn't going to be able to join us, one of my friends, a guy named Buzz Hettick, who lives in Wyoming, he said, well, if you got extra room, I'd take some time off work and I'd love to be there with you. And Buzz and I have known each other a long time. He's been on my podcast before. We do a lot of work together in the public land advocacy world, and going to school on his knowledge and sharing a great camp, a great hunt with another friend is something Matthew and I decided, you know, this just adds more flavor to what we want to do. It was fun the first morning. Buzz met us at our hotel. We decided, you know what, I've already done 60, 70 days in tents this year. I'm done with tents. The wind howls in Wyoming, it's November, it can get cold, I'm staying in a motel. And Buzz said, all right, I'll meet you at your hotel, and he did, and we jump in the truck, and I'm kind of in a bit of a hurry, and Buzz was like, oh no, don't worry about it, let's just drive out there, there's all these glassing spots, and we'll get to the best vantage based on what the sun is doing, you know, try to put the sun at your back in the morning. And we'll just get out and look and glass and look and glass. This is crazy. November, Wyoming. No snow, nothing. No snow? Wow. So in my mind, I'm thinking these elk are probably gonna be way up high. But Buzz assured me that no, these elk don't get disturbed a lot because it's a limited entry unit. The hunting pressure doesn't push them way back up there. They come down to the winter range just like they naturally would. And his idea was, let's go look at some of these places on the low end of the transition range. They're gonna be high windswept ridges. Those areas in the lower part of their transition range where the bulls will hang up and just wait and wait and wait. And yeah, when winter really gets there, they'll drop down a little bit more and they'll get out into the true winter range. But in these places, these clear, bald, windswept ridges, they're pretty visible. If you had told me there were elk out in this country, I'd have laughed. I said, we have elk tags, not pronghorn tags.
I'm sure there's stuff I haven't seen.
Well, Buzz suggested we stop here before we get too far down the trail, and there was a group of bulls there, a group of bulls over here. Right now there's 7 or 8 of them in a pocket over here, and we're inspecting them with spotters and taking pictures here and trying to convince Matthew to go shoot one of them, but
I thought you said I wasn't allowed to shoot one on opening morning.
Well, that changed when I saw some real elk. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
I'll admit to being a little rambunctious. Matthew, he is just a go with the flow guy. You can't get Matthew wound up, worried, or excited about hardly anything.
It's a nice day. It's not super cold. It's a little windy maybe, but not the worst.
You don't seem in a big hurry.
I'm not in a big hurry. There's plenty out here, but probably shouldn't get too fixated on the first ones we see.
Well, if we could get Matthew to quit screwing around with the camera and decide which one he's gonna shoot here. Huh?
I'm having a good time just screwing around with the camera.
That's a 330-inch bull elk, Matthew.
Been out here for an hour.
I've only shot 2 bulls in my life bigger than that one.
Yeah, well, I want to get to the point where you've shot 0 bulls bigger than the one that we're looking at. So I didn't really have a goal for this hunt. I was taking the approach of, I'll know when I see it. And it was not imperative to me that I shoot some monster. I wanted to get outside, enjoy being out with friends and family. There are parts to hunting that people are going to enjoy various aspects of it. For me, just being able to get out with the wildlife and see the wildlife was pretty cool for me.
What are you up to, 32?
32?
32 bulls and how many cows?
None.
0. They're a ways off, and I'm sure that some of these we're going to encounter we won't be able to chase because they're on private. If you look at the Wyoming Game and Fish regulations, they put a little asterisk in their regulations that say access can be difficult in this unit. But those kind of units are the ones we apply for. You've seen us do it with antelope. You've seen us do it with not just this elk, but other elk hunts. There are parcels and pieces that you can hunt. If you're really good with your onX system and you understand how to read it, where it's at, and you accept the fact that I'm not going to be able to go chase every animal I see. There's some other bulls that I couldn't see from down there in that big group. 16 bulls in that group. Yeah, 57 branch antler bulls in one morning. Yeah. That's a multiple seasons worth for a lot of people. Yep. And one of the strategies we use for late season hunts on a limited entry tag like this is look over as many animals as you can. Don't shoot the first one, because if you can get a limited entry place without a lot of hunting pressure, the elk are going to seem quite undisturbed. And you're going to get a chance to look at a lot of them.
There were a couple bulls that really stood out. One of them was a 7x8 that was pretty cool looking. We could have probably made a stalk on it, but I decided to just sit back and watch it for a while and see what happened. And eventually they walked off a little ways to a point where it wouldn't really have made sense to make a stalk that night. It was just getting towards the end of the day, and they were not disturbed, so we figured we could come back and find them again if we wanted to. Nearing the end of day one, probably got about an hour and a half of daylight left, but at this point I'm not convinced that we've seen all that there is to see here. I'm gonna keep looking for a little while and then see what happens. Later in the day we saw another very good bull, and that was one that we actually decided to take a closer look at. When I say take a closer look, I actually meant just move closer and get a better look, and then, maybe I'd decide to shoot, maybe not. And so we started walking towards it.
Up to this little tree right here.
And the herd of cows that were with him eventually saw us and were paying a little attention to us. And when we decided to just pop over to the next ridge so we could get a closer look at the bull, they tagged us and then they started running. They still weren't super scared. They stopped, a couple 100 yards down the way. And, they did give us a chance to get a better look at it.
Oh man, he's broadside.
Yeah,
He's just looking
it's
back.
about 450.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take that shot.
452.
By that time, though, it was nearing the end of shooting light, and it was not something where we could have really chased them. Again, they were not terribly spooked, and so we figured we could come back the next day or the day after if that's something we decided we wanted to do.
Well, I had a ton of fun today. Buzz, what was our final count
I
on?
think 84 bulls.
We shot 84 different bulls conservatively today. I think you did the right thing, Matthew.
Yeah.
If you're hemming and hawing when you got another 5 days to hunt,
Yeah.
you don't shoot them.
Yeah. So we did have an opportunity. It was at about 450 yards, which is just more than I felt confident doing. So decided to just sit back and observe them for a while more and try again tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Unless I really want to fill my tag, we can just go over to this cow right here. And
I'm with Buzz. I think that is the Helen Keller cow or something.
It's gotta be.
You think she would at least felt the vibration of
You
the
would
herd
think.
running
Yeah.
past her. She just kept grazing.
I just found the perfect grazing spot.
Well, when we woke up the second morning, there's one thing working in my favor, is that the forecast was for a serious blizzard to come the following day, and it would be zero visibility. Who knows how well we could get around out in this country, because in Wyoming, you get 8-10 inches of snow, and with the drifts, it's not 8 or 10 inches, it's 3 or 4 feet in some of these spots. And Matthew's been out in this country enough to know that a blizzard out here, a severe winter alert, is one that you probably want to pay attention to. And on our way out there that morning, I'm thinking, well, maybe this is enough to get him moving. Maybe this will cause him to pull the trigger.
we decided that we were going to see what else the unit held. We had plenty of time, and so I really just wanted to see what else was out there. Turns out what else was out there was not a whole lot. We saw a couple elk, but not very many of them. And so it was clear that where we were on day one was where we should be to actually try to find something.
For me, the old saying of you don't leave fish to find fish applied. We know where there are a lot of bulls. What the hell are we doing way over here in godforsaken who knows where we're only seeing a few? And so we made this big loop. It probably took 3 or 4 hours to get back to where we'd been glassing the day before. We went over there and Didn't see any of the elk. It was now mid-afternoon, and I'm thinking, man, maybe we wasted our big opportunity yesterday. And there was this one spot that the morning before, Marcus had seen a lone bull go over the horizon. And we went out there and parked the truck. The idea was Buzz would loop way over to the east, I'd go way to the west. Marcus was glassing the north stuff, Matthew's glassing to the south, and I'm there 5 minutes and I look, there's 2 bulls bedded out there.
Well, stop screwing around then. Okay, let's get down there. I decided, okay, let's get a closer look at these.
Trust me, when you get within 300 yards, you're gonna want to shoot that thing. I'll bet you $100.
I'm not gonna take you off.
And so we grabbed the gun and the packs and all the optics and went further in.
You can see the top of his antlers, but there's a berm in front of him. From up there, we might be able to shoot. He's bedded, like he's sleeping, facing straight away, 265 yards. Completely unobstructed shot.
This is an old mature bull. This is why we had sorted through dozens and dozens and dozens of bulls. You don't walk away from bulls like this. We snuck up there and Matthew's getting out there, gets his pack all set up, gets in the prone position. But he's got this great big camera that we have, this big 125 power zoom lens. And he's got this humongous bull elk bedded out there in front of him, and he's taking pictures.
We were not really in a rush to make something happen here. And so I was not going to force it. I was not going to rush the shot. I was not going to take a shot that I was not comfortable with. The distance wasn't that far. It was about 275 yards. And so it was well within the range that I feel comfortable shooting.
I bet you we laid there for 20, 25 minutes and he was just chewing his cud, looking the same direction. And if you observe elk, you know that when they're getting ready to get up, they start getting fidgety.
Yep.
Those of you who watch our stuff know I live by the motto that if that elk is moving, I'm telling people shoot again. He's down. He is down. Oh my God. Great shot, Matthew. And I'm almost embarrassed about how excited I was after the shot. Man, I was hooting and yelling and jumping and screaming, and I know Matthew was excited too. That's about as high of a level of excitement as you can get out of Matthew. As we're walking over there, I'm just thinking to myself how special these times are. Look at the body size on that dude.
So this hunt was a good opportunity for me to spend some time with friends and family. It was enjoyable for me to be able to go out and kind of figure out what am I looking for as we're out there doing the hunting. There was no pressure to shoot anything. There was no pressure to, get something done right away. And so it was nice to just be out there and spend time with my dad and Buzz and Marcus. And for me, that's what it's all about.
Those of you who have kids who they've moved on, they build their families and their careers, you know that those days are not as plentiful as they used to be. The scarcity of the time you get to spend hunting with them makes it that much more valuable. And that's what's going through my mind is how lucky I am that I get to do this, that have friends who come and join us and we get to go to all these fun places, hunt all this public land. And it's a time for Matthew and I to just turn off the phones, get rid of life, leave the computers behind, and go and hunt.